Hi, I'm Aiman. Welcome to one of my videos on summer pre-college programs. Today we're going to be focusing on Stanford Pre-Collegiate. And here we have my lovely sister Anisa, who actually attended Stanford Pre-Collegiate a few years ago and is willing to give us her testimonial. So first off, why don't you begin by telling us about the program? When did you go, what did you do there, and what did you like about it?
Okay, so I went the summer before my senior year, so that was the summer of 2015, and I took a class called 20th Century Science, Technology, and Culture, and I liked that it was in California. It was the first summer program that I went to that wasn't in Connecticut. A lot of the summer programs we did were close by, and it was with people that I've known for a few years. So this was kind of exposure to a new place, and new people, and a new subject.
So, how'd you find out about the program? Tell us about the application process, too.
Yeah, so I got a letter from the program in the mail, maybe my sophomore year, and I didn't apply to it then because we were unsure about it. It was so far away, and it seemed expensive since it was all the way in Stanford, so we'd have to pay for the plane tickets, and the program itself was a little bit expensive. But after researching it, after receiving it in the mail my junior year, we decided to apply for it since they did offer financial aid, and it seemed like an interesting program for me. So when I applied, it was similar to applying for other summer programs that we'd applied for in the past. It asked us a lot of questions about what we did in school, extracurricular activities. Some part of the application process were different from what I'd been exposed to in the past. Some courses had specific questions. The math courses had problem sheets that you had to fill out or answer so that they could see whether you qualified academically for the program. For the course that I applied to, they asked for pieces of literature, reviews, or science papers that I'd written in the past so they could see my level of writing and the research I've done in the past.
When talking about colleges, Stanford is definitely one of the top names. So when you got accepted, how excited were you?
I was very excited. I think my family was probably more excited than I was. My sister attended Stanford, so being accepted to a summer program there was probably exciting for her since I'm her little sister, and she really liked it there, so she thought I would like it there too. I think my parents were excited too, except it is in California, so it is far, and there's a lot associated with going to a summer program so far away. They wouldn't see me for the duration of the program, and it was new for me. I wouldn't know people there except for my sister, so it was a new experience, but we were excited.
So you've mentioned a few times about how far away Stanford is. Can you talk a bit more about what it was like traveling there?
Yeah, I was 16 at the time, and it was actually my first time flying alone on a plane, and it was across the country. It was a little bit frightening, I guess, but when I got there, I was able to meet up with my sister, and she was able to drive me to Stanford. But if I didn't have a relative who lived in California, Stanford also offered somebody to pick us up from the airport and bring us straight to where we would check in for the program.
I'm glad you mentioned that, since this year I'm actually going to be applying again to Stanford. And I think a couple of years ago, Hizami actually went to Stanford Pre-Collegiate as well. And even though my sister's already in California, my mother was a bit concerned about him, so she asked my older brother to accompany him. We're actually going to be interviewing Hizami as well in our next video, so stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, we're going to ask Anisa more about the program. So, what did you expect going into the program, and what actually happened?
So the program is a pre-college program, and I was expecting it to be similar to the college experience, which I didn't know what that was at the time, so I guess I just wanted to know what it would be like living on campus and going to class. I wanted to know what a college class would feel like and be like, and that's pretty much what I got. Since I'm in college now, I can kind of compare the two, and it was pretty similar. I lived in a Stanford dorm, I was taught by a Stanford professor, and I was taught in a classroom on campus. So it was pretty similar to the college experience, I think.
All right, so tell us more about the class. What was it like, and how were the students like?
Yeah, so I wasn't the only one in the class, obviously. There were about a dozen other students, and they were people of all ages and from different backgrounds and states. There were a majority of people my age and some that were a year or two younger, so it was a good mix of people. We were assigned readings and given textbooks like a normal college class. We had assignments due almost every class that we worked on after the class and discussed and workshopped during the class.
So when I was at Brown University for a summer program, they took us on many field trips and did many extracurriculars. So the question I want to know is Stanford better?
Since I didn't go to Brown, I can't say that it's better, but I can talk about my experience there. On the weekends, they did have scheduled field trips, so I went to the California Academy of Science one weekend, we went to the beach another weekend, and we also had a lot of scheduled activities on the weekdays after our classes.
Okay, what was that like?
Yeah, so the college experience is more than just taking classes. There's the social part and getting to know the place that you're in. We were in California, it's a new place, so a lot of the activities we did were hiking through the woods or having a campfire and just seeing different parts of California, going to the pool, but of course they had to regulate this, so the way that that worked was they blocked off time for us to make sure that we finished our assignments for our classes. That was probably around the time after lunch, after attending our classes, and then after that we had free time, but they had opportunities for us to partake in these extracurricular activities if we wanted to, and we can choose whichever one we wanted, or we could choose to just rest in our dorm.
I like that you mentioned that because at Brown it was sort of similar. We also had academic time that was separate from free time. And mentioning free time, I want to know more about your social life. Like how many opportunities for going out or socializing did Stanford have? Because I know at Brown they had many opportunities for people to get together. They had many lounges, and they also were adjacent to a shopping strip. So I want to know, was the experience similar at Stanford?
Yeah, so there were a lot of lounges and common areas for us to hang out. There were volleyball courts and just big places to walk around. If you wanted to find somewhere to hang out with your friends, there was also like a basketball court. Like I said, there were scheduled activities that you could choose to go to with your friends, or you could just hang out in your room if you wanted to. And we didn't live close to a shopping strip since Stanford is kind of isolated. It's kind of just the campus. But we did have trips to the shopping mall that were scheduled and that you could sign up to go on.
Wow. In the interest of time, we're going to be cutting off this video right about here. So make sure you stay tuned for that second part, especially if you want to know more.